The moral argument for the existence of God hinges on the presupposition that objective morality exists. Many apologists assert this as fact, but cannot demonstrate it to be so. They simply appeal to common sense or intuition. So let's start by looking at what makes the mere concept of objective morality nonsensical. Objective means mind-independent, unbiased, not influenced by personal feelings, interpretations, or prejudice. Morality is of, relating to, or concerned with the principles or rules of right conduct, or the distinction between right and wrong. So since objective means mind-independent, but morality pertains to principles, rules, or the distinction between right and wrong, which are constructs of the mind, the term objective morality is in fact an oxymoron. Morals are inescapably subjective. Even if there were a God from whom morality emanates, it would still be subjective to that being. Many theists attempt to dodge this problem by saying that objective goodness is rooted in the essential nature of God, but claims that the Abrahamic God of the Bible is good causes cognitive dissonance when we see that he is responsible for many immoral acts, ranging from deception to genocide. And we cannot avoid the problem by simply exempting him from the rules of morality we apply to everyone else. QualiaSoup presents arguably the best analysis of why the biblical Yahweh and Jesus cannot be the source of morality, objective or otherwise, in his video Morality 2, Not So Good Books. You'll find a link to it below. Morality requires a mind with the ability to comprehend, at least to some degree, the consequences of their actions, and the capacity to make a reasoned choice. If someone taped a gun in your hand and then shocked you, causing you to pull the trigger and kill an innocent person, your action could not be considered immoral, since you had no choice in the matter. The result is the same as if you had voluntarily shot the person, but it's the choice which makes an action moral or immoral. So again, comprehension and choice, both mind-dependent factors, make morality by definition subjective. Apologists like William Lane Craig and Frank Turek will often trot out examples of behavior they consider objectively immoral, such as child rape. But even the moral implications of seemingly obvious examples like child rape can get cloudy with a simple thought experiment. Imagine a future in which a new virus has evolved. This virus affects children under 10, is highly contagious, has a 100% mortality rate, and no synthesized drug can cure it. Now, suppose that if an infected child is subjected to forcible rape, his or her pituitary gland will secrete a specific combination of chemicals which will eradicate the virus with 100% effectiveness. Now, what's the moral choice? And if you choose to rape the child to save its life, is the act still immoral? And what if this virus evolved alongside humanity from before we even had the cognitive capability to understand the moral implications of our actions? Would it have ever been wrong? Even some prominent atheists, such as Sam Harris and Matt Dillahunty, adhere to the idea that objective morality exists. And while I concede the consequences of our decisions can have objectively better or worse outcomes, the decisions themselves are subjective. When discussing morality, both Harris and Dillahunty use health analogies such as drinking battery acid or vomiting all the time as examples of objectively unhealthy behavior. But to look at extreme and obviously detrimental examples like those is, in my opinion, to miss the bigger picture. Most of our health decisions, as well as our moral choices, are moderate and nuanced. For instance, is drinking coffee healthy or unhealthy? Now, even in moderation, caffeine has competing consequences. It can raise one's awareness as well as one's blood pressure. It can abate headaches, but can also cause anxiousness. Now, I agree with Harris regarding the peaks and valleys of the moral landscape, but none of us lives on the highest peaks or in the lowest valleys. So the extremes really have no practical application. From a pragmatic view, even if there were an objective standard of moral behavior, what difference would it make? Theists who proffer the notion of objective morality also agree that our own human moral judgment is flawed. So if we're filtering this objective moral standard through our own flawed subjective bias, how can we possibly apprehend what is truly objectively moral? And theists will have to do a lot better than appealing to common sense or intuition, neither of which is a reliable means of discerning truth. If we cannot apprehend with certainty, and in all cases, what is objectively right or wrong, and have to rely on our own flawed common sense or intuition to make a determination, the existence of an objective standard is moot. And if someone claims to know what the objective moral standard is, but is contradicted by someone else claiming the same, we're back to square one and must rely on our collective best judgment to determine the right course of action. Theists will also claim that God has written morality in our hearts, i.e., our conscience. But we know that sociopaths don't have such a moral compass. So either their God deliberately creates humans without an innate moral capacity, or they're just plain wrong. And claims that the Bible is a moral guide ignore the fact that the Bible itself is often immoral, or contradictory, or utterly silent regarding certain situations. So again, it leaves moral determinations up to fallible human interpretation. Morality must be based on empathy, reasoned logic, and evidence regarding the harm or well-being of other sentient creatures. And as intelligent social creatures, it is incumbent upon us to come to the best decisions we can given the best available information. Now, does this make morality relative? To some degree, yes, but only inasmuch as our understanding of the consequences of our actions improves over time, or in circumstances where there's no discernible difference in the results of our moral choices. But if you think our moral determinations should be based on the authority of ancient texts written by nomadic warlords, or on claims of personal revelation,
error.